All right, let's do this. It is Monday, March 4th, 2024. It's just after 9:30 on the East Coast. And you can see I have the gold futures chart up 3 minute. We're above 2100. It's kind of a really placid overnight future session, really not much movement there around 2090, 2095. And then lo and behold, US traders wake up and get to their desks. And they did this. They drove it from 2090 to 2106. So there's this thing in the gold bug community that the US session is always a down session. They always sell gold at the US Open. Well, proving them wrong here this morning so far. So that's good to see. I don't have bullet points for this weekly video. I'm just going to go off the tabs I have open and start with this blog post that I wrote yesterday. Despite all-time high close, gold keeps its name out of the papers. And by the way, you're watching at Goldfinger Capital on YouTube. My name is Rob Sin. On X, you can find me at CEO Technician on CEO.ca. You can find me at Goldfinger. And as always, if you find value in these weekly videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. That's how this grows. Um, Share good quality content with people that you care about. So, despite all-time high close, gold keeps its name out of the paper. So, what is this about? Well, Friday, gold did make a new all-time high close. Friday's close was 2,095 an ounce, and that's the highest level gold has ever closed a week at. So that's significant, even though it's not an all-time high, because remember, just a few months ago, we had that Sunday night move up to 2152. That was very, very short-lived. I consider Friday's close to be much more meaningful than that Sunday night futures pop then drop. Okay, this is looking like a much more sustainable move to new highs than it did 3 months ago. So a lot of unusual things are happening in financial markets today. I could spend hours making a list. And I started out this post saying, well, I'm not referring to the S&P making new all-time highs. I'm not referring to the major move in Bitcoin we've seen from over 40,000 to 65,000 here this morning. I'm talking about this move up in the gold price, okay? And I think in a different market environment, gold would be receiving more attention today. But because of what's happening with, NVIDIA and Microsoft and the S&P and the Nasdaq and Bitcoin, gold is just down the list of things to talk about in financial media. So Market Watch, CNBC, Bloomberg, nothing on the front page, no featured articles on these sites about gold as of yesterday. I haven't seen any in weeks, quite frankly. And when I've seen them, they're usually bearish. Okay, so gold is making new highs amid little fanfare. As I say, it's keeping its name out of the papers. Now, if we just look at futures open interest, this by itself is remarkable. Remember, gold had a tremendous run in 2019 and 2020. Remember, May 2019, gold was 1275 an ounce. Um, I think that was, or maybe that was at one point. It was either late 2017 or 2019. John McAfee said gold was worthless and Bitcoin would go to over 1 million. And gold was about 1250, 1275 when he said that. Well, it proceeded over the next um, 15 months to go above 2000. So gold had a tremendous move during this time. And you see the open interest spike. So the futures open interest, the registered futures. So this is the amount of registered um, gold at the COMEX. Okay, so it went up tremendously during this time. And now look at what it's been doing in 2022, 2023, and now early 2024. So the COMEX open interest and registered gold at the COMEX has been falling consistently and steadily falling, even as the gold price has continued to grind higher. Okay. That is unusual. Usually, futures open interest expands during commodity price uptrends. There's more interest in the market, there's more speculators trading the market, so open interest has to go up. Okay, not this time. Also, the GLD, right, which is like if you're an American investor that wants to put some gold exposure into your portfolio, your first go-to thing is going to be the GLD. You can easily buy a lot of it. You can buy hundreds of thousands of dollars very easily with very little slippage at a low commission rate, right? So the GLD is going to be your go-to. Well, look at GLD outstanding shares since 2021. It's dropping. And there's a bunch of other graphics that show the same thing. Basically, investor interest in gold ETFs in North America continues to decline. So on the one hand, we have this rising price, right? The strong price trend in gold. And on the other hand, we have falling interest uh, investors are not excited by this uptrend in gold. Okay, they're not. They don't own gold. Okay, let's just put it bluntly. Nobody owns gold here. They might own some Bitcoin. There's more likely that the average guy walking down the street today owns Bitcoin than owns gold. Okay, and that's just the fact of the matter. So the fundamentals for gold are very powerful, and that's not the point of this video. If you want to see me delve into that in more detail, find the Metals Investor Forum presentation from January. You can find it on my YouTube channel, or you can find it on the Metals Investor Forum channel. I go into a bit more detail in that presentation, and that is basically unchanged. It's still a very strong, compelling fundamental case for gold. Has a lot to do with the tremendous debt and deficit in the US and foreign central banks continuing to accumulate gold to diversify their reserves. Okay. Um, but just the simplest case is the price action, very bullish long term price action, bullish long term chart against the backdrop of nobody's talking about gold and nobody owns gold. That seems pretty damn bullish to me. Um, I also think that silver could begin to really play catch up. So far in 2024, silver really hasn't done much. It's been putting in a bottom, quite frankly. It had to test $22 twice. But I think now, if this gold breakout continues, coming days, coming weeks, silver should catch up on a percentage basis. Silver should start to outperform. And I kind of make the case, look, if gold's going to go to 2200 here on this run, I think silver can go to 26 or 2650. Okay. And if that happens, this should be very favorable for the precious metals mining stocks. Final paragraph. There are mounting signs that the Fed is about to taper its QT. Now we're still uncertain about the first rate cut. It might be June. It might be later. It's really hard to guess, and I'm not sure it matters that much really at this point. But they're talking about slowing the runoff in their balance sheet. Okay, and I think we could get an announcement on that fairly soon, maybe even at this next meeting here in a few weeks. And Waller gave this speech on Friday, and I'll just say he really made it clear that he wants to see the Fed getting rid of the MBS on its balance sheet, right? So selling what has appreciated quite a bit in the last few years, largely due to the Fed's actions, um, and adding more T bills, so shorter term Treasury securities, so 3-month bills, 12-month bills, right? Shorter term treasury paper, essentially. So they're going to be really buying more aggressively at the front end of the yield curve. And we know Treasury is going to be issuing a lot of T-bills, a lot, okay? They don't want to finance themselves for 10 years at 4.3%. They'd rather finance themselves for 3 months or a year, roll it over, and then wait until the Fed funds rate and the yield curve drops, rates drop a bit before they start financing themselves for longer terms. Okay. And I believe that the move up in Bitcoin and gold are sniffing this out. Okay, I believe that the market is sniffing this Fed pivot away from QT back towards QE. I believe they're sniffing this out. Okay, 2108 gold as I'm speaking. Where's the Bitcoin chart? 65, 66,000. Oh my God. Wow, look at this. Is a beauty, man. This is a beautiful chart. Gold is beautiful. This is a work of art here. 2108, guys. 2108. Before I get into my MIF presentation, this looks like a double bottom to me in the Gold Bugs Index. Okay, the HUI. This to me absolutely looks like a double bottom. And based upon sentiment, um, I think this is a great spot for gold miners. The PDAC conference is happening this week. Maybe we're going to get the PDAC reverse curse. IAMGOLD, this one is just about to confirm the breakout from this big consolidation pattern it's been in for much of the last year. We're going to get news from Cote Lake in the next couple of weeks confirming the initial production there. Um, yeah, and I think that this is going to re-rate above $3 over the coming months. Okay, as long as they don't have any operational hiccups there, this one is really poised to re-rate back above $3 a share. I've been pounding the table on this for months, and I'm not afraid to say it. I've been right, and I think I'll continue to be right here. And I'll let you know when it's time to get off the IAG train. I don't think it's time yet. So yeah, double bottom in the HUI. This is so I made a tweet I think a Thursday or Friday about the huge underperformance in the gold mining sector versus gold in the last 6 months. And I want to, you can only fit so many characters, into a tweet. So I want to explain it a little more detail. I said this is the worst 6-year underperformance of the gold miners relative to gold in history. Now, just that statement without a qualifier is not actually correct. What I really meant to say, it's the worst performance by the gold mining sector versus the gold price during a 6-month period of a rising gold price in history. So prior periods of really poor performance by the gold mining sector, 2013, 2014, 2015, but gold was declining during those years, okay? 2018, gold miners performed pretty poorly. Gold was flat to lower throughout most of 2018, right? So it was not an uptrending gold price environment. So when gold is dropping and making new lows, you'd expect the gold miners to perform much worse than the metal itself. Okay, that's just the nature of the beast. But the one thing we don't expect, and the only reason to really own gold miners, period, or mining stocks, period, is betting that the metal that they pull out of the earth is going to appreciate and their profit margins are going to expand, right? So we've seen gold price appreciation. Obviously, we're at new highs here today, guys. We've seen 2108. Gold miners should be making money hand over fist, and look at their performance, right? I think the chart I posted showed the GDX was down about 9% in the last 6 months, and gold is up almost 6%. Well, that's I mean, it's unforgivable. It's unforgivably bad performance by the gold mining sector, right? But and that's why the sentiment is so bad. The sector's just so extremely hated. But this kind of sentiment is what bottoms are made of. So this sector is hated, just mercilessly hated by investors. And we got a bottom here. Pretty good to me. This is a good setup. This is a good setup, guys. All right. So let's do it. So I did my Metals Investor Forum presentation on Friday morning. They only give you 20 minutes for these things. I don't know how the CEOs do it. Like they do it in 10 minutes. So I had 20 minutes. I think I used 21 minutes. Um, I pretty much always go over a few minutes in these things. It's just very hard to condense it to 20 minutes. So I'm going to give you my different version of this presentation. It might take a little longer than 20 minutes, but let's go for it. So it's titled Drill Baby Drill, talking about 3 actionable and attractive junior mining setups. So I'm talking about individual stocks. These are small cap, micro cap stocks. So please, this is not investment advice. Do your own due diligence. Speak to a financial advisor before you do anything. These are extremely speculative, high risk stocks. They could drop 50% overnight. I mean, they've done it before, right? So that's all out of the way. Technicals, fundamentals, catalysts. So, I play in the sandbox, the junior mining sandbox. I think it's one of the few areas of the stock market where individual investors, so retail investors, can still have an edge. And I know everybody's out there saying, "Oh, the retail investor always gets screwed in junior mining." They just haven't. They haven't done enough work. They haven't understood the sector enough. They haven't done enough homework. I firmly believe the individual investor, the small investor, 50,000 in your trading account, 100,000 in your trading account, can have an edge in the junior mining sector if they do the work. Problem is, most people don't do the work. They don't want to do the work, or they just don't have the time because they have a full-time job, right? Um, but I believe that there's definitely an edge to be had in the sector, and those edges come about when the technicals, fundamentals, and catalysts all align. These are the best setups. So I've chosen 3 companies that I think are all set up here with technicals, fundamentals, and imminent catalysts. Some quotes to get started with. My experience, the stock market goes up on mystery and comes down on history. The minute you drill a series of holes and find everything there is in an ore body, you've ruined it. Think about that. Think about that. Now everybody knows what's there and what to expect. But if you don't do this drilling, if you leave a mystery in there, in my mind, it's better to do that, to leave something on the table for the future. So don't drill it off. Don't drill off the whole ore body. Leave an area open for mystery and further expansion. That's a very interesting quote. I'm not sure that's the right thing all the time, but it certainly is worth considering. So the stock market goes up on mystery. You see that a company drills a hole or 2 holes, they hit something pretty interesting, and then the speculation of what could be possible comes in. And that we saw that with Aston Bay, right? In August of last year. It went from 4 cents to 32 cents on speculation of what could be possible. Then the subsequent holes weren't quite as good. Um, and they sold the stock back down to 5 cents, and we'll have to see what happens this year, right? It rose on mystery and it came down on the end of the drill program, basically. Um, buy the sizzle, sell the steak, buy the rumor, sell the news. That happens all the time, all the time. Everybody's waiting for the news to drop. Assays. It almost doesn't matter what the assays are. They're going to sell the stock on the assays, right? There is nothing like the thrill of discovery. Yes, there's nothing like the thrill of discovery. And so we're going to talk about 3 companies that all have something to do with those quotes, right? So My lower risk or medium risk company is Fireweed Metals. Why is Fireweed medium risk or lower risk? It's because they have a resource, very high quality management team. The management team, the insiders have been buying shares on the open market in recent weeks and months, but really it's the fact that MacPass and MacTung, their two flagship projects, are of such high quality, um, and the fact that we know there is a lot of metal in the ground there because they have resource on both projects. So we're going to get catalysts from both projects in the next few months. MacPass will have an updated resource, and MacTung will have a PEA. Hercules Silver, this is higher risk because this is a new discovery story. Yet we don't know how big the discovery is. Right? There's room for um, them to beat expectations. There's room for them to drill out something that's extraordinary, world class, and there's room for them to disappoint and miss. Right? And so that's why it is high risk. But you have Barrick Gold in here with a 15% stake in the company, and the 2024 drill program is less than 2 months away. I expect it to begin by the end of April. Company has plenty of cash in its treasury, 25 million Canadian. VR Resources. So this is much higher risk, much lower market cap, less cash. They have about 1.3 million. They might need to raise some money here in the next couple of weeks, but they're going to be drilling their new Boston project in the Walker Lane Trend. This is between Tonopah and Reno in a very historic mining region of the U.S. And this is basically a copper moly porphyry target that I think is quite compelling. So we'll talk a bit more about that. So start with Fireweed. Fireweed has been knocked down. Share price has been knocked down since its summer 2023 highs. It got up to about $1.75 a share. Now it's trading down near $1. The weakness in Fireweed shares is due to a combination of factors. The junior mining sector has sucked. Zinc, base metal prices have sucked. Also, winter seasonality. It's a Yukon, Northern Canada focused company. So obviously, they usually have a bit of a seasonality in the Fireweed share price. It usually rises late spring into the summer drill program, and then it peaks sometime in August or September, and then it goes down during the winter. And it does this over and over again. Also, SILJ, so this is an ETF for silver explorers. Well, Fireweed was placed in the ETF last year because there's a lot of silver at MacPass, and then they decided to follow a different index and they sold all their Fireweed shares in January. So that was weird. Just a sort of a perfect storm of factors have knocked down um, Fireweed share price, and that gives us an opportunity to take advantage of that, right? MacPass, so this is silver, so zinc, lead, silver. I guess I should say it in that order. Um, they're drilling at the Boundary Zone and Tom South in 2023. Generated some great, drill results, including 144 meters of 14.5% zinc, 1.15% lead, and 60 gram per ton silver. That's pretty extraordinary drill intercept. And they continue to step out and hit. They continue to step out and hit. When it's all said and done, I'm pretty confident MacPass will be well above 100 million tons in total, with an average grade of at least uh, 10% zinc equivalent. I'm not sure that will be how big this next resource update we get in May or June is going to be, but I think it'll be pretty damn big. It'll probably beat market expectations. Also, why buy Fireweed today? Well, I bought it because usually we get a seasonal bottom in these Yukon stocks in March or April. Okay, so and again, we've got a number of catalysts lined up over the coming months. I mean, in May and June, we're going to get the updated resource for MacPass. We're going to get a PEA for MacTung, and then we're going to get the commencement of summer drilling in June. So three big catalysts, bing, bang, boom. Um, that's pretty good. The share price is testing down to a very important area of price memory near $1 a share. So from a risk versus potential upside standpoint, I like buying it at support at a seasonal low and looking for that um, spring summer rally. Um, Mac Pass is great, but the market is sleeping on MacTung. So what is MacTung? Well, it is basically the highest grade, large scale tungsten deposit in the world. Okay. What is tungsten used for? Well, tungsten is used in aerospace, in the automotive industry to create super alloys. Basically stuff that doesn't wear out, right? It can last for decades or centuries. It's also extremely dense, very hard and very dense, making it suitable for military applications and armor-piercing ammunition. So, with all the conflicts we have in the world today, and all the ammunition and tanks and artillery that the U.S. has been shipping to Ukraine and Israel, and who knows where else, we're going to need to replenish our stockpiles. So we're going to need a lot of tungsten. Tungsten is a strategic metal, and MacTung is the only game in town in North America, and it just so happens to be adjacent to Fireweed's MacPath project. So it was a natural tie-on to the company to have MacPass right there in the Yukon and MacTung across the border in the Northwest Territories. The tungsten market is like 85 to 90% dominated by China. China is pretty much the only game in town in tungsten. So the U.S. absolutely needs to reshore, onshore its tungsten supplies, and Canada's our friendly northern neighbor. And so MacTung is a strategic asset for Canada, but also for the U.S. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some federal government funding um, MacTung at some point here in the coming years. Okay, it's a critical metal. Um, MacTung is very large, very high grade, and as I said in my MIF presentation, MacTung has copper porphyry grades, like copper deposit grades, but it's a tungsten deposit. Tungsten is 4x the price of copper. So you've got tungsten, you've got copper size and grade in a tungsten deposit. Um, it really is an outlier, extraordinary, deposit, and probably the main reason why it's been left for so long is there hasn't been this urgency about tungsten that we have today. And this project is out there. It's pretty far from infrastructure, but if Mac Pass is going to get built, then I think MacTung will get built too. This area of the Yukon uh, is increasingly important from a mining standpoint, and the infrastructure is coming. It is coming, and you even had the Canadian government uh, commit to funding more than $70 million of that road upgrade to MacPass. So once they put out this PEA, I expect things to advance very aggressively throughout the rest of 2024 into 2025 towards a feasibility study, and they even see a path to project construction by 2028. That is very aggressive, but that is how advanced MacTung is. They just need that government support. Okay, so the key catalysts for Fireweed I've already laid out. Resource update Q2 of this year, first update since 2018. Boundary zone will be in this. Boundary zone is very high grade and pretty substantial in terms of size. I expect this will beat market expectations. MacTung PEA, again, this is very important because then it sets up for the metallurgical test work, bulk sample pilot production, followed by a feasibility study in 2025. And then, of course, 20,000-meter drill program. So Fireweed, I really like Fireweed at $1 a share. Pound the table on that one. And of course, I am long. Hercules silver. So I've talked a lot about Hercules, especially those who get my premium stuff. I'm going to go super fast. Basically, uh, Idaho had been overlooked for porphyries for decades. The Hercules property specifically went dormant in the early 80s when the silver price crashed after the Hunts tried to corner the market. The Hercules project is, it's always, historically been a silver project. So when silver was hot in the late 70s, there was some work done there. But then it went dormant in the 80s when the price of silver went into that 20-year bear market. Um, a new discovery made by the company October of last year, hole 2305, game changer, 185 meters of 0.84% copper. Included in that was 45 meters of 1.94% copper in this upper bornite portion, this really high grade upper bornite portion that really got a lot of attention from major mining companies, including Rio Tinto and Barrick Gold. Barrick ended up sort of outbidding Rio Tinto and taking a 15% stake in Hercules in total at a total cost of about 35 million Canadian dollars. So they've got about 33.5 million shares of Hercules, cost about 35 million Canadian dollars. So you do the math, their average cost is about $1.03, $1.04 per share. Hercules is trading 20%, 25% below that average price that Barrick paid. So I think this is an attractive opportunity uh, at a discount when basically the news flow is at this little bit of a lull before the next drill program commences in April. I mean, once the drilling starts in April, probably going to be pretty steady, actionable news flow for the rest of 2024. So we have this little quiet period to start the year, and that's given an opportunity for shrewd investors who are paying attention, I believe. Um, all signs are pointing north northwest of hole 2305. We still haven't seen this new property wide deeper 3D IP that they did in 2023. Um, the company is keeping that close to their chest for a very good reason because of some land staking that has been going on since the end of last year. But I expect that we will see this before the commencement of drilling in April. So it's not that far away. And also, the Hercules team continues to assemble all-star team of geos, technical advisors, PhDs who are copper porphyry experts, really giving this 2024 program their very best foot forward, the very best shot. Yeah, so Idaho was forgotten, and basically all the big major companies left Idaho. The only one that's really left is Hecla. I don't even know if you can call that a major one, and they've just got one mine that they operate in the northern part of the state. Leviathan. So this is the discovery that Hercules made, the deeper copper porphyry discovery. Leviathan, what is that? It's a monster that lurks in the deep parts of the ocean, right? In the deep parts of the sea, deep parts of the ocean. It's a monster lurking there. So, the Leviathan copper porphyry discovery, um, they've got to go a little deeper. We'll see though. Here's Frog Pond. So this is where 2305 was drilled right here. Frog Pond. You can see that they've sort of outlined in this like orange brown their copper porphyry target area. And I actually think, based upon the information we have now, that they're going to be stepping out 200 meters at a time to the north and northwest of that whole 2305. Okay, and there's actually another news release that came out since I made this presentation with silver assay results. And the silver assay results actually just serve to further confirm the vectoring to the north and northwest from the deeper copper results from 2023. Um, and this area, Hercules added, there's actually a drill pad that they used last year. I imagine they'll be drilling off that pad again, um, because some of the silver assays that they got from Hercules out it were absolutely phenomenal, out of this world. And then maybe step even further to the north. And then this whole area, Hercules Ridge and Grade Creek, is highly prospective. In fact, Grade Creek has the highest copper in soil grades of anything on this property that they've done soil sampling work on. So it's very interesting that this could be a multi-centered porphyry system, and that's something that I think a hint was dropped at some point about that, but we haven't seen the deeper IP. They haven't commented on it since, but my intuition tells me that's what we're dealing with here. Okay. Um, so where is this porphyry stock, right? The mushroom might be expanding out north and maybe even trending east. Where's the porphyry stock? Where's the early, mineral porphyry center, the intrusive center? And I think that's what we're going to be hunting here in 2024. They dropped a big hint in the news on January 22nd, this chargeability target that closely follows the trend of the Hercules rhyolite and roots into a vertical anomaly with coincident high conductivity, low, resistivity, which may represent a potential early porphyry feeder intrusion. So that is quite a teaser, but we don't know where it is. We don't know exactly what it looks like. We just have their words to think about. But this makes a lot of sense that this vertical anomaly, this early porphyry intrusive center, might be somewhere up here. We will see. So Hercules silver, this chart, it was at 75 cents. It is biding its time, trading in a range on very, very low volume, low energy trading, which is what you would expect when there's not a lot of news flow, right? Just people have kind of moved on to other things. But what happens when they put out the drill plan and the 3D IP and drilling commences in April? Then suddenly you go from low energy to higher energy, and maybe these quotes about the stock market going up on mystery or buying the sizzle or there's nothing like the thrill of discovery, maybe those quotes all become relevant again. We'll see. Of course, I own Hercules Silver. VR Resources, so VRR on the TSX-V, high quality management team with track record of success. CEO Michael Gunning led Hathor to a $650 million buyout by Rio Tinto. VPX, Justin Daly is a porphyry expert that worked for Tech. This is a company that loves to swing a big bat and go for big discoveries, big targets, big discoveries, new ideas, not rehashing old stuff. And New Boston is a project they've had in their portfolio for a number of years, but it was not until they did further exploration work in 2022 that generated this 3D model that showed them this conductor on the east zone, and they sort of redid their model for what could be happening at this project. So this was held in the 70s by Conoco. Conoco was interested in the molybdenum. They found some copper, they found some, but not enough to really get them too excited. I mean, they hit basically 30 meters of 1.38% copper over here at Blue Ribbon. You can see the scale. 4,000 meters. And so this was their model, the Conoco model, 1979. And this is what VR just sort of drew in here. Porphyry target feeding veins, sort of these stacked veins, all feeding down to this east zone conductor that's ever been drilled. So there's never been a drill hole put into this area of the project. And their theory is the source of the copper and moly that's closer to surface is down here. But notice the anomaly, this conductor starts near surface and extends down to this potential porphyry source at depth. So this is hole one, boom, right down the throat of it, targeting this deep source. East zone conductor, this is another look at it. This is, looking west, and you can see the different structures here. It's so the conductor at East Zone is the largest and highest amplitude in the entire survey. It is targeted as a central porphyry stock with concentrated vein stock, works with conductive copper sulfide. It is modeled as the source to copper migrating up dip to the south. All right. So this is north, this is south. So the copper that is moved up is coming from down here. I mean, this makes a lot of sense. This is the perfect setting for this kind of a porphyry discovery, potential discovery. The east is different from the west. The west had much higher moly concentrations versus copper. On the east side, they found up to 0.8% copper in soils, the oxidized part of the porphyry system, closer to surface. And you can just read it all here. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Here's hole one, boom. Here's hole two, boom, and here's hole three. They have it all mapped out here, and let me just see. Yeah, so they're hole three. They're going to go over towards the west, the Jeep mine, because they have a potential copper target over there as well. But hole one and two, targeting this east zone conductor, are really the main event. And here's another photo. So here's where they're basically going to be drilling, and there's Highway 95 off in the distance. So you're off a major highway, in mining country, mining state. There's nobody lives anywhere near here. Near the town of Luning, there's Highway 95, and here's some blue-green copper oxide and quartz vein, just sitting here at surface. So yeah, I liked this project when they announced it last year, this sort of new updated model they had for it, and I like it a lot today. They're going to drill it this month. Heard from the CEO they're going to drill it in March. Probably program wraps up towards the end of April. Here's the chart. It's moved up. The share price moved up to 15 cents on Friday. But the main thing I want to show in this chart is that this was a major capitulation, tax loss selling washout here at the end of 2023. So this stock is all washed out, sold out. And I believe that adds some fuel to the upside. I wouldn't recommend chasing it past 20 cents until we actually get assays from New Boston, from this program. Uh, I was a buyer at 12, I believe at 12 and a half, and I'm willing to hold into this drill program. Okay, I think this is a very promising one. So VRR, high risk, high reward, classic drill speculation, offers a lot of torque, big torque, big risk. I could say the same for Hercules, lot of torque if they make a world-class discovery, but also a lot of disappointment if the 2024 drilling doesn't live up to expectations, right? And so that's it. So that is my MIF presentation. That's it for this weekly video. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you find value in these videos, hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Goldfinger Capital. Have a powerful trading week.